Thank you, Vishwesh. I now invite our next speaker, Dr. Fleur D'Souza. Just introduced. D'Souza completed her graduation with history honors from St. Xavier's College, Mumbai. She then pursued studies for the Bachelors in Education and Masters in History from both the University of Mumbai. In 2003, she was awarded her PhD degree in history by the University of Bombay for her thesis Thana Under the Portuguese, 1534 to 1737, an socio-economic study. D'Souza was the head of Department of History at St. Xavier's College, Mumbai from 1996 till 2016, where she also served as the vice principal of the arts faculty from 2005 to 2011. In 2003, D'Souza, along with a few others, researched, planned, and conducted heritage walks for the citizens of Mumbai to celebrate the bicentennial of the Asiatic Society of Mumbai through the year 2004. Invited to be on the Archdiocese of Mumbai's Heritage Cell, she worked with a team on the timeline of the history and heritage of the Archdiocese of Bombay in Goregaon. She was also a member of the first Academic Council of the Maritime History Society of the Indian Navy and an Executive Council member of the Oral History Association of India. She served as academic expert on the team planning a heritage gallery for the Moscow dock shipbuilders. The gallery was inaugurated in 2019. D'Souza's academic interests lie in the maritime history, community history, urban and colonial history, and church history and heritage. She has several research papers in national and international publications, a monograph on Thana's maritime past, a children's book on Bombay, and has edited a book on the history and restoration of the Church of St. John the Baptist, Thana, to her credit. And she has been my former professor and mentor for many, many years. So it's a privilege and honor to welcome Fleur.
Hello, everyone. At the outset, a warm thank you to the organizers, Vishwesh, Professor Vishwesh, Kenny, Dr. Kenny, and to of course Sunaparanta. And thank you for that warm welcome, Leandre. I still remember Leandre as a student, and perhaps she the topic that I've taken today is very different from what everybody else will be talking about. It's hard to come and follow Vishwesh with his wonderful slides, but I'm just going to put a few ideas out there. History all around us. Teaching was history to art and architecture. I don't know, first of all, I'm trying to find out whether this shipyard belonged to Goa or to Cochin. That little elephant there may suggest that it was Cochin, but shipbuilding and shipyards have been part of my research interests. Okay. Postmodern historiography, or the study of history, has changing themes, contexts, and considerations. Vishwesh has referred to them. I'm sure other speakers will do so too. History today chronicles and interprets the thematic, everyday, every man and woman narratives and material cultures of the past. History all around you. And that's what I urge the young students here to consider. There's history all around you. A knowledge of local history helps to build an identity and a sense of belonging. The concern for and awareness of the degradation of the environment takes on a new meaning if interest is generated in the past of a locality. We're talking about the Asiatic Society, and this whole idea, we were one of the first to have conducted these walks, these heritage walks. Today, it's become a big business in Bombay, very, very big. But we ran through a series of walks where the students were the guides, and you can see here Yeah, yeah. The students were the guides to the wonders of the Asiatic Society and what it had to offer. And on the other side, one of our last projects was looking at the history of the neighborhood of Kalba Devi, where St. Xavier's College exists. And so some students took up the study of street names, others took up architecture, others took up the spatial development. We discovered that there was a Daba Bazaar, or a whole bazaar for medicine, and there was a cloth market. And so the students took up various things, and we spent a whole morning on the streets. Of course, we also had our canteen in the Irani cafe, that is Kayanis, and Kayanis for once allowed us to move tables and join the tables together. Otherwise, how strict they are, their rules and regulations, all the Irani cafes. But we had a class in the Irani cafes. And so the students discovered that there was history all around them. And that's what I urge some of you to do. Okay, today we discuss Goa's art and architecture. This presentation focuses on those aspects of art and architecture that link Goa with the northern province of the Portuguese in the early colonial period. I think Leandre spoke about Goa being a portal, but I look at all the West Coast ports as windows to the outside world. And yes, one such window, it was the Provincia del Norte, because these had age-old, all the ports of West Coast of India had age-old connections with not only China and the East, but also Africa and the Levant. So these are little windows that we have open. But here today we are going to focus on Goa and Goa's economic and cultural links with other parts of the startled India. This is the northern province of the Portuguese for 200 years. And when it was first founded, it was bigger than Goa, because Goa was just the small city of Goa at that time. And this was a huge province, right from Diu. Is the cursor showing that? Is the cursor showing it on the screen? No? Do you have a pointer? No. So anyway, that little orange is due right there, and then this whole starting this porch with Chow, the little orange dot that you have at the end. So this was the northern province of the Portuguese, and it had important products that served Goa and Goa's trade and continued as I will show you. Okay. One thing that I was very interested in, and I think it was Pishwesh and Joaquin who brought it to my notice, this question of the Pedra do Norte. And the Jesuits who built the Church of Bourges, who decided in 1597 that it was to be built with the stone from the northern province. When I talked to my geology department, they said, Goa has stone. Why would they want to transport stone all the way from Bombay? So I said to him, but we had documentary evidence to show that there was this connection and there were other travelers' accounts. And then I thought, he says, but in Karnataka has that stone. So I said, how would they move stone across the hills? Wouldn't it be easier to transport it by sea? And then finally, they agreed with me. And then I found on the island of Dharavi, which is no longer an island, this abandoned quarry. And then literary evidence tells us about other quarries, but Bombay is so urbanized, highly urbanized, there's no question of finding the Malad quarries or the Vile quarries anymore. And I've checked this out with the geology department. But anyway, at Dongri, near Vasai Basi, there's an abandoned quarry which is still there. Who knows how long it will last, but still visible are well-marked rhyolite columns. And if you see the next, there's a car in front of it, just to show you just how tall and the single pillars could have been excavated from this quarry. And a French traveler in 1607 writes, "From Basine is exported the best timber. It also yields building stone that is fine and hard as granite." Now, this is my geology department. That's not granite. Okay, it's not granite. Fine. What is it? I'll show you in the next slide. I never saw a column with, I said, I'm not a geologist, nor am I an architect. So you tell me what it is. I never saw such columns and pillars of entire stone so large as in this place. All the churches and sumptuous palaces of Goa are made of this stone. Now, one thing which I have missed doing is taking a picture to show you just how close this quarry is to the creek. That's just opposite Vasai. So it serves the purpose. The stone could have been loaded onto the boats and easily could have made their way by sea. It shows you these links, therefore, of Goa with other parts, something that interests many of you. So I finally got this geological map. It's not the best one, but if you can see the arrow pointing to that red patch, where they finally said that this is rhyolite, So, and the other parts had other, I don't think that's very clear. Maybe the next time I go, I'll try and get a better picture of this geological map. But there are all the different kinds of stones and quarries that would produce these stones, but we are here interested in 2 or 3 types. We are interested in the rhyolite, and we are interested in the Malad stone, which is, you don't have any quarries of that left over. Now, Paulo Varela Gomes says the Borghese has a unique facade in the history of Christian architecture, and look at it very, very closely, and you can see that the pillars and the decorative elements, not the building itself, decorative elements belong to have stone that was Pedra do North. Here is a map from the British Museum. It says the settlement of Thana is on the island of Salsette, whatever, but I'm drawing your attention to this. In this settlement are many textiles, gingins, taffetas, writing desks, which are made here in blackwood and are the most durable and the best in India. I checked in the botany department what kind of wood would be available in the forest surrounding those hills, etc. And they agreed that yes, you would have teak and you would also have rosewood. So yes, blackwood desks would be possible. And the narrow coastals to produce textiles and woodwork that was channeled through the customs house of Goa. And samples of these were recently exhibited in the Asiatic Society of Mumbai. I was in Goa, so I couldn't get a chance. And somebody took these pictures for me, but I'll try and get better pictures next time. So you have somebody in the mid-19th century, Dr. George Forbes Watson. Of course, they did it for their own reasons. They wanted to see what is it in Indian textiles, or what is it in local textiles that was preventing people from buying the textiles that were coming in from the mills of England. So he did this study where he took samples of every kind of textile that he could find. And those were exhibited very, very recently. Now, as Vishweshwar said, we have to look for connections. We have to look to see whether there are still some of these artisans working. And in Vasai, there is a village, the village of Giris. And in Giris, there are 2 vados, what you would call vados. And very interestingly, they're called Lahan Suttarali and Motha Suttarali. Suttar, carpenter, that we call it in English, little carpentry and big carpentry. And so these, when I say history all around you, it's what you have to pick up from all of these. Why is it that those vados have that name? And here is Mingleshwar and his brother, who have been treating the wooden reticles of the heritage churches of the region. They're expert sculptors and gilders. They're often called upon to use their expertise on the profuse wooden ornamentation that typifies the Indo-Portuguese churches of the north. This is part of their workshop. You can see some of the pillars, because now it's become quite fashionable to recreate some of the old styles of altar decoration. So you'll see them working on very profusely carved pillars here, which then they will decorate with very colored paint, and that's the style. This is a picture from Goa, but it has very delicate inlay work, and I don't yet have a picture of the woodwork or the desks, the writing desks that travelers have spoken about. But I do have a picture which I took in the workshop of the Sequeira brothers, where they were doing inlay work. So the last panel shows you the finished work. And last of all, I am going to talk about shipbuilding. And it says, this place in Basin is to the Indies what Biscay in Spain is, for all vessels are built for the king. And Basin was once a place of remarkable for shipbuilding. And these are notes from the English factory records. Of course, I could go on to talk about in another better more time about Shivaji and how he built up his navy using Portuguese engineers and using the local carpenters to build up the first kind of local navy, because nobody but Shivaji realized that the next threat was coming from the sea and not from the land. And then in the 19th century, when the northern province was practically lost to the Portuguese, and all these areas then went over to the British, Daman continued to be a center of shipbuilding. And there is this ship which was recently recommissioned and is now like a floating museum. I just want to leave you with this idea, what one of my students wrote at the end of a summer school on the changing uses of space in Mumbai city. It was the year 2000. I can't believe it's nearly a quarter century already. And I remember Vikas Dilavare taking us to the textile mills and telling us that you will soon have a changed landscape. And today, if you go through those flyovers, you will see high rises where he says this is the world's biggest development project. Why? Because I don't think there's any other place in the world where you have all these vast acres of mill land that are fed by two major rail lines. They have water bodies, because all textile mills need a lot of water. So they have water bodies, each of them. You know how water is so precious. They have the arterial roads running through. He says this is the world's biggest development project. And what he said to us, and I think we got the last, we got to see the last of what was the mill lands and the mill areas. That was in the year 2000, and this is what a student wrote. And I urge some of the students here to think about it, leaving a world of metaphors and abstractions aside. What the summer school succeeded in doing on a more personal level was that it brought these living spaces, the summer school was called living spaces, closer to us. The issues were no longer only subjects for intellectual debate, but personal issues that we needed to look into with better insight, knowledge, perception, and above all, greater sensitivity. So I'm leaving you with a few thoughts. Are we okay? Ask yourself, I wonder why, I wonder who, I wonder what. Think, ask questions. All the answers do not always come easily. Be curious. What constitutes your identity. Thank you for listening. Thank you for time.